Every craft and every investigation, and likewise every action and decision, seems to aim at some good. Hence the good has been well described as that at which everything aims. However, there is an apparent difference among the ends aimed at, for the end is sometimes an activity, sometimes a product beyond the activity, and when there is an end beyond the action, the product is by nature better than the activity. Suppose then that there is some end of the things we pursue in our actions, which we wish for because of itself, and because of which we wish for the other things. And we do not choose everything because of something else, since if we do, it will go on without limit, making desire empty and futile. Then clearly this end will be the good, i.e. the best good. Then surely knowledge of this good is also of great importance for the conduct of our lives, and if, like archers, we have a target to aim at, we are more likely to hit the right mark. If so, we should try to grasp, in outline at any rate, what the good is, and which science or capacity is concerned with it. Let us then begin. Since every sort of knowledge and decision pursues some good, what is that good which we say is the aim of political science? What, in other words, is the highest of all the goods pursued in action? As far as its name goes, most people virtually agree about what the good is, since both the many and the cultivated call it happiness, and suppose that living well and doing well are the same as being happy. But they disagree about what happiness is, and the many do not give the same answer as the wise. For the many think it is something obvious and evident, for example, pleasure, wealth, or honor, some thinking one thing, others another, and indeed the same person keeps changing his mind, since in sickness he thinks it is health, in poverty wealth, and when they are conscious of their own ignorance they admire anyone who speaks of something grand and beyond them. Among the wise, however, some used to think that besides these many goods there is some other good that is something in itself, and also causes all these goods to be good. Let us return to what we are looking for, and consider just what it could be, since it is apparently one thing in one action or craft, and another thing in another. For it is one thing in medicine, another in generalship, and so on for the rest. What then is the good in each of these cases? Surely it is that for the sake of which the other things are done. And in medicine this is health, in generalship victory, in house building a house, in another case something else, but in every action and decision it is the end, since it is for the sake of the end that everyone does the other things. And so, if there is some end of everything that is pursued in action, this will be the good pursued in action, and if there are more ends than one, these will be the goods pursued in action. We can say then that the human function is the soul's activity that expresses reason, as itself having reason, or requires reason, as obeying reason. Now, the function of a harpist, for example, is the same in kind, so we say, as the function of an excellent harpist. The same is true unconditionally in every case. And when we add to the function the superior achievement that expresses the virtue, for a harpist's function, for example, is to play the harp, and a good harpist is to do it well. Now, we take the human function to be a certain kind of life, and take this life to be the soul's activity and actions that express reason. Hence, the excellent man's function is to do this finely and well. Each function is completed well when its completion expresses the proper virtue. Therefore, the human good turns out to be the soul's activity that expresses virtue. How is happiness acquired? This question about the role of fortune raises a puzzle. Is happiness acquired by learning, or habituation, or by some other form of cultivation? Or is it the result of some divine fate, or even of fortune? First, if the gods give any gift at all to human beings, it is reasonable for them to give happiness also. Indeed, it is reasonable to give happiness more than any other human good, insofar it is the best of human goods. Presumably, however, this question is more suitable for a different inquiry. Even if it is not sent by the gods, but instead results from virtue and some sort of learning or cultivation, happiness appears to be one of the most divine things, since the prize and goal of virtue appears to be the best good, something divine and blessed. The answer to our question is also evident from our account of happiness, for we have said it is a certain sort of activity of the soul expressing virtue, and hence not a product of fortune. And some of the other goods are necessary conditions of happiness, others are naturally useful and cooperative as instruments, but are not parts of it. Further, this conclusion agrees with our opening remarks, for we took the goal of political science to be the best good, and most of its attention is devoted to the character of the citizens, to make them good people who do fine actions, which is reasonable if happiness depends on virtue, not on fortune. It is clear that the virtue we must examine is human virtue, since we are also seeking the human good and human happiness. And by human virtue we mean virtue of the soul, not of the body, since we also say that happiness is an activity of the soul.